Hello, in this video we will learn about the notes that we can play on the violin using our fingers. So to review, the four strings on the violin are called G, D, A, and E. And basically each additional finger you add to the strings means that you're going up a note. So for example, we'll start at the G string. If I add a finger, this is A, and then B, and then C, and then finally D. So you'll notice that even though I'm going one note up at a time, that the space between my fingers are different. So between the first and second finger, there's a space between them, and then there's no space, and then there's space again. So the spaces between fingers vary due to whole step increments and half step increments, which I will briefly explain using a keyboard. In music, there are only 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The next one is just the repeat of the first note I played, but in a higher octave. And the reason that my fingers had different amounts of spaces between each other was because some had whole step increments while others had half step increments. Basically, two notes side by side, like this white key and this black key, are called half step increments. C and C sharp. If there are two half step increments, it's called a whole step increment. Because this is a half step and this is a half step. Together, they create a whole step increment. Usually a black key represents a half step, but between E and F and B and C, there is no black key, but they are still half step increments since the two keys are right next to each other. If you recall how my fingers were spaced in the demonstration earlier, the first and second finger had a space between them. The second and third were stuck next to each other, and the third and fourth had a space between them. This is because the first finger, which is pressing A, and the second finger, which is pressing B, are whole step increments. And the second finger to third finger, with the third finger is C, they're a half step increment. And finally, the third finger to the fourth finger, they're a whole step increment. As you can see, there's a pattern to playing whole and half steps on your violin. So when two notes are a whole step apart, you put a space between two fingers like this. And if they're a half step apart, you stick them together. And now we will try to play notes on our violin using a bow. So to review, first, after you tighten your bow, you make the rabbit shape with your hands, and then first put your thumb between the bow stick and bow hair, then cover the frog with your two fingers in the middle, and gently place the remaining fingers on top of your instrument. Now when you're using your bow to play your instrument, it's important that you place it right between the fingerboard and the bridge, right in the middle, like this. And when you play, you want to make sure that your elbow is correctly angled. So an easy way to do this is by first just relaxing and then making a huge big circle with your arms, and then just landing it right on the string you want to play. It's essential that while you're playing, your bow doesn't get crooked like this, and that your elbow stays comfortable and in the correct position. And just place the bow on the string right between the fingerboard and the bridge, and just extend your arms. The hardest part about using your bow is making sure that you're playing one string at a time. So it's essential to make sure that your elbow is in the correct position and that the angle of your bow is correct too. So an easy way to do that is by doing that, as I demonstrated earlier. But when you practice that enough, make sure you know how to distinguish the angles between each of the strings. So the angle of your elbow should be different for each string. So for example, the G string, the elbow should be a bit higher, and then your E string, it should be lower. it should just gradually become higher and lower as you go up and down the strings. So today we learned the basic concept of whole and half step increments and how to place your bow when you play your instrument. So in the next video we will actually use our learn how to play while pressing on the strings. Thank you.